All right, so we're back. Today we're gonna talk about making this radio wave on our plane so that we can create this as a new controller. And this is a different method. This method is going to use empties, and the empty, we're gonna take advantage of that by using the proximity node and geometry nodes. And so this way we can start our radio effect anywhere we want by dragging the empty around the control. So what we're going to do first is, starting out, we're going to create a plane. So I'm going to hide this, remove these layers, delete that, and I'm going to create a plane. So plane, start out like that, and then we're going to create a new geometry node set. Okay, put this here. So we're just organized, and then we're going to create an empty. So we'll just have our empty ready to go too. So empty sphere. I'm going to set the size to say 12. That's good. All right. And then the plane, going back to our geometry nodes, I'm just going to pen this here, and then we're going to create a grid, and then plug this up, and then just do some setup for the grid. So we're going to go 128 by 128 by 128. I'll press zoom out. And then next thing we're going to do is also create a set shade smooth node, plug that up, and then also a set position node, and then a viewer node for later when we're ready. And now it's time to set up everything else. So that basic setup is there. I'm going to turn on wireframe. Oops, not grid. Oh yeah, we leave that off, and then I'm going to turn on wireframe. Actually, never turn off the grid. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to start incorporating this empty. So I'm going to drag this empty into our geometry node setup. Okay. So that's there. And our next step is start creating this, this node setup for the empty. And then we're going to create another node setup for our noise, right? And the noise is going to break up the radio effect that we're creating. All right. So first step, we need to do a combine XYZ. We're going to plug this into the offset. Then as before, we're going to plug some stuff up into the Z. All right. All right. So next thing we're going to create is a map range node. Got that. And then I'm going to plug this result into the Z. All right. And then next step is to create a setup for our empty. So we're going to create a mesh line. See, mesh line. And then we're going to also create a proximity node. So we got those items set up, and we're going to take the mesh, plug it into geometry, and then we're going to take the location and plug it into the start location. And then from here, I should be able to just drag the distance into the Z, or I'm sorry, we're going to drag the distance into the value. So we can put that there for now. All right. Nothing's happening yet, but it's going to happen. We'll get there. All right. And then we're going to put this to points, in other words, vertices. And now you can see something is happening. All right. So now our empty is affecting this whole plane. So wherever I drag this empty, it's going to affect the plane. Right. So this is what we want. All right. So let's finish setting this up now. Next thing, we're going to create a ramp. All right. So we're going to create a ramp. We're going to put this right before the map range. Oops. We're going to put this there. All right. So that's there. Now we got control over this whole situation. So I'm going to flip these around, right? Like that. And then I'm going to change this linear to east. Right. So it's a soft fall off. Now we just need to play with our map range, right, to bring this down, because right now the height of this is so extreme. Okay. So we just need to play with this now. And I'm going to take this part right here from, let me bring this out, see what it says, so we can all read it together. From max. So I'm going to bring this down. Actually, I'm going to turn it up. And this is just going to bring the whole height down, right? Just like that. We don't need extreme. Cool. So now we got something in range. Okay. And if I take this, is going to affect the spread of it. So I can actually play with this some more too. So let's say if I wanted to do something like this, let me pull this over here, add another point, and then make this black. Now watch what happens. Okay. So now I get like this volcano look, right? So now I got control over it this way too now, right? I can change the whole shape of this thing, right? All right. So let's get to the next steps to where we're starting to animate this piece. So now I'm going to do an add node, right? Or a math node. I'm sorry. I'm going to do a math node. I'm going to leave that set to add. And if I scrub through this, you're going to see that this math node is going to affect how far this ring goes out, right? So now we can animate this here. Okay. So let's set it back to 0 and see where we have none of it happening. Okay. And then I'm going to say, let's see if this works. Frame. Let's see. I'm going to set start here, type in frame divided by -32. Let's see if that works. What do we get? Cool. All right. So we're getting something, right? So, and I like the speed of this. So it starts right there and it ends right about at 80. Okay. So we'll set our endpoint to 80 so we can just watch it loop. Okay. We'll have to make further edits, but this is just a good starting point. Matter of fact, I'll probably just start it from nothing right now. So we start at 0. I want to start it lower. I'm going to get rid of this. Yep. All right. I wonder if I can make edits to it. Nope. Let's spread. And down here like that. Maybe it should be tighter. Okay. I know what I could do. So I could take the empty and move it upward. So now, yep, there we go. Cool. So now, because this is working on the proximity node, so I just moved the empty up a little bit, and now we got it starting from nothing. So now if I hit play, right, now that's all happening from start to finish, which is what I want. All right, so next part, now that we got this looping, now let's set up the way this whole thing looks. So we're going to add some noise, right? And then we're going to add another math node. So math, then I'm going to put it right here in front. I'm going to set this to subtract. And then I'm going to plug this noise node up. Okay. So I'm going to take this, plug it here. And now you see that we've added noise to the whole wave. Okay. So right now it's too big. And I just want to bring the scale down. So we're going to start bringing the scale of it down. Right. So let's say 0.4. It's okay. Let's go 1. Now we're getting something cool. Right. And then I could play with the detail also if I want it. Turn this way up. Right. I like that. So I'm going to go 15. Now we're getting this whole look happening. And if we go page up, wireframe all, turn that off, see what it looks like. Oh, it didn't turn it off. Why is it not turning it off? Wireframe off. There it goes. Okay. Let's play it again. Awesome. So we're getting this whole radial effect now. Okay. So we could keep playing with this too. So let's say I wanted more rings. Okay. So if you wanted to add more rings, I can say, okay, let's move this here. Let's move that there. Let's add some more points, right? And then I can set this to white like that. Set this to black like it is already. Set this to white, right? So now I have more rings happening, right? And I can soften it up too. So I could just spread these evenly. So right now there's one extra one I don't need. Get rid of that. Get rid of that one too. All right. Let's see if we've got anything wrong happening. And then just spread these apart. So this is how you can add more rings. Put that there. I could just make small tweaks to it, right? So that's a cool look. And I could play with my settings some more. So I can go here. I'm like, oh, it's a little too high still. I can play with my settings. Turn this up a little bit. to lower it. You know, if I go like 10, you see it's really low, right? Like that. But I actually want to keep it high because remember, we're making a controller, right? We're making a controller. So I'm going to get rid of these because I just want one. Maybe I'll leave them both. We'll leave them both for now. All right. So this is our node setup, right? This is how you build this whole effect, right? So this is a new style of controller we built, right? Like I've shown before. And if I go to my empty, oh, there's something happening. So if I go to my empty, let me stop this. Where did my empty go? Oops, set it to render. Let's see my empty. Where did you go? I think I set it to the wrong mode. There we go. That's what I did. All right. So if I take my empty, right, let's say, okay, I want it to start on this upper left corner, right? So I can set it up here now. And if I hit play, you'll see that it starts way over here now. And it's going across the whole plane. And so right now the animation is ending right at 80. So I can increase the frames, right? So that we can just get the whole thing, right? Because we have this thing automatically taking care of our animation, this expression that we plugged in over here. So it'll automatically play from the right. It'll automatically play all the way through. So you can see that we can still see the wave from here. So I'm going to pull it back some more. So it's kind of off. And now I hit play, right? It's radiating from the corner, right? And I could make it here if I want it to start from a nice tight circle. And then I can shift this upward so it's not affecting it, right? Boom. And I can hit play. There it goes. All right. Very cool. I love this. This is so cool. I've been trying to figure this out for a long time. All right. So now that we got this all set up, right, we can now move this empty anywhere we want in our scene. Now I can set up my whole my whole hair setup now. Okay. So now that we got this as our control, name that control. I'm going to switch back to layout. We're going to make another plane, right? And I'm going to say duplicate that. Go back to my geometry nodes. I'm going to make a copy while this is selected, unpin that. And then I'm going to hit this to make it unique. And then this is just my grid. Okay. And then I'm going to just unplug this so we don't have the wave. And then also everything else is correct. All right. Go back to layout and we're going to collapse this. Okay, because we need vertex groups. So we're going to hit mesh. So now that that's collapsed, I should have a bunch of vertices on the plane. Great. That's what I need. And then now we can go over here to our data properties and then go to vertex mode, select all by pressing A. And I'm going to hit plus and then assign all these selected vertices to this group. I'm going to hit back to object mode and I'm going to set this plane on the 0 point. Move it down, and then I'm going to go to a side view and I'm going to move this whole thing down just right below the plane. Okay. And I'll tell you guys why in a sec. So we're going to move it right below the plane. Make sure it's pretty close. All right. That's good. So we got that right below. And then I'm going to call this plane. What should I call this plane? Final. I'll just name it final for now. And I'm going to take the control. I'm going to hide the control now. So visually and on render mode, I want it hidden. So I don't want it to show at all. Okay. Because remember, this is just a control. It's going to affect some other things. All right. So now that I got that there, I'm going to take my modifiers and I'm going to add a proximity, vertex weight proximity. And then I'm going to select the vertex group that we created. And I'm going to select the control to affect this plane that we have here. Okay. All right. So next, let's work with the settings of this. Okay. So if I say go to vertex weight, right? Let me get out of wireframe mode. Turn this off. Wireframe all. It's not turning it off for this one for some reason. Let's go here. Wireframe. Maybe it's because it's selected. Yeah, that's what it was. All right. So now that we got that set up, I'm going to go to vertex weight. And then now I'm going to mess with these properties. So maybe 8. Set this to 1. Oh, we need to set object to geometry because now we're picking up the sub geometry of the vertexes, edges, or face. That's why we set it to geometry. So I want it to pick up the vertexes. So I'm going to set this to 1. And as you can see, remember we had those peaks and valleys on the control object, right? That's having the wave. That's what we're seeing here. So it's picking up that proximity. So we had those peaks that were close to the bottom of this plane. So now we can see that, right? And I'm going to flip this. So red means do something. Blue means do nothing. So I need to flip it around. Okay. So I'm going to go down here to fall off and I'm going to hit this to invert it. Right. And then I also wanted to set it to smooth to have a nice fall off. All right. So again, red means do something. Blue means do nothing. And then we have everything in between. All right. So I'm going to just scrub through this slowly to see how I can just set up these settings. Right. Maybe this is more intense. All right. So I like that for now. We can start with that. And then we're going to add another modifier. So we're going to add a displace modifier. And then we're going to set that to our vertex group. Okay. So as you can see, red do something, blue do nothing. And then we have our controller below. So if I hit play, right, just like we have that controller hidden, it's affecting this whole plane now, right? And the reason that we're doing it this way is because we need to take advantage of vertex groups. Now, I would say it would be great if the Blender devs could make it so that we can have vertex groups within geometry nodes. Maybe there is a way right now, and I just don't know that. But for now, I always have to collapse the plane so that I can get access to the set of vertices that are in the geometry nodes. So that's the issue that I'm dealing with. So maybe there's some kind of future function where like we can have like a freeze, right? Where it freezes all of our attributes, and then we can have access to vertex groups to the geometry nodes and then move from there so that the workflow is non-destructive. Because now the issue that I'm having is I can't go back and add more vertices to this plane if I want it. I can go and subdivide it, but I would like to just have access to that grid node in my geometry node setup, and then also have access to the vertex groups at the same time. But this is the workflow for now. So now that I got this displace modifier on, I'm just going to bring the height of this down too. It's a little too high. I just want to low something like that. Okay. Let's look at it from a top view. So this whole vertex map is animated now just because we have that controller set up, right? So that's what's happening. The whole vertex map is animated. So now I can go back to object mode. And as you can see in object mode, right, I have this plane animated from that controller. All right. All right. So next step. So I can do some more steps. Say like I want to add a mask. Okay. So I can add a mask and then also have that set to the vertex groups, turn on smooth. And then also you'll just see the peaks come through. Okay. And the fact that I have this, right, I can always move it around. So like this is what's cool. So I can always make new edits to it. So I want it to start over here now, you know, or I want it to start in the center, right? Maybe I want it to start in the center. So it's not going to start here and radiate out. So let's keep it there for now. Try that. Right. So I always have access to this empty to figure out where I want the whole animation to start out. Right. Very cool stuff. All right. So moving on to the hair, I'm going to go back to my plane. I'm just going to turn off mask for now. We're going to set up our hair. So I'm going to go to particles, add a particle system, hair, set this to 12, and then set this to 1024. Source, we're going to set that to vertices. Use modifier stack so it sees what's on the modifier tab. And then I'm going to set hair dynamics on. Quality steps, collisions, I'll leave those at default. And then we're going to go down to vertex groups. And I'm going to set the length to group. Okay. to the vertex group. So now the hair only grows in the areas of where the peaks are. Okay. And I can go back and make edits. So I can say, oh, well, I don't want that little peak thing happening. So I can turn this off, and you'll just see the hair appear only where we have those peaks though. Okay. And now that we have dynamics set up, I can add in a turbulence node too to affect this hair. So if I set my hair or my turbulence to something like 16, we're going to start seeing the hair sway as it's growing. So I'll hit play again, right? And you can see it swaying and growing. That's because of the turbulence, right? Now I'll do it on a more detailed level, right? I'll add more hair too, so we can see it that way. So let me turn off cavity. Sometimes cavity's not good all the time. And I'm going to put this on the center now, right? We'll just see it radiate out. Oh, let's start it over. Start over. All right. And then we're going to move this up. All right. So you're going to see it radiate out now. See? Cool effect. So this thing is kind of cool because, like, say we wanted to make this cool product animation and I want something radiating out from the product, right? This is how I would accomplish this, by using hair. You know, I could do it with a lot of different things, actually, not just hair. Hair is just a good place to play with, right? Now, let me add some more hair and I can show you guys on a grander level of how this would work. So let's add some more hair. So I'm going to go here to particles again. Let's go 2048, and then we're going to turn on children, interpolate it. And now we're going to have a lot more hair. So let's hit play again, and we're going to see a lot more hair. Right. So this is what's happening now. Okay. Now imagine, so now you guys can see what I'm talking about. You know, when we add more hair, what kind of effects we can do. Right. It's this whole like shock wave of hair. Boom. Right. There it is again. And what makes it more dynamic is adding that turbulence in. So let me add some more turbulence. Matter of fact, go crazy with it. So 32 instead. And then play it again. Right. So I can do that. And then like I can hide the emitter too. So I can say, okay, well, let me hide this emitter. I think I can. I can't remember if I could do it with the hair situation. So let's see. Particles, render. Yes, I can. Show emitter, viewport, show emitter. So the emitter is gone now. So I can hit play again, right? I can have more hair too. So I got this radial effect happening with the hair, right? And the benefit of this again is that I have all control by moving the empty around, right? So like in the previous ones, I was only using the wave texture in the previous videos. But this video, I am taking advantage of using that proximity node. So it's always picking up this object here, and I can move the proximity around. See that? So if I wanted to start it over here again, right, I can move it over there and then replay it again, right? What's cool too, I just noticed it's already cached in some areas. It didn't detect that area yet. And then if I wanted to add the wave in, I can add that back into my modifier stack. So any modifier stacks that deal with vertex groups or anything else in Blender that deals with vertex groups, you can take advantage of the vertex groups that were set up. All right. So I got that set up, and then I can always go back to my control, right? And say I wanted to spread out some things. So I can go to geometry nodes, and then I'm editing the control. So I have this control set up, right? That's hidden, and I can play with the settings of those. So like, let's say I wanted to add more spread to this area, right? So I can go here, you know, I can set this out like that, spread this out, you know, maybe I add another black to add a bigger gap, right? And so I drag this down, Now I just created a larger gap. Now we got 2 rings. See that? I just made that simple edit. So it's very flexible. All right. Tighten it up a little bit. Make sure I can still see that gap. All right. Then I can play it again. So I'll go back to my layout. Now I got 2 rings. Okay. And I could change the height of the second ring too, right? Because we're messing with a map. So I could take this second ring. Which one's the second ring, matter of fact? Okay, this one. So I could take this second ring and I can make the hair shorter. Because remember, we set that vertex group to length. It's just growing and shrinking. So I could turn the blacks and whites is what's going to grow it right here in this area. So I set it to like something like this where it's a little bit shorter, right? So I got that set up. Now I got shorter hair, right? It's because I want the second ring to be shorter. So let's play it back. Boom. See? Play it again. Right? And I can make longer rings too if I want it. Right? And so I can go to the geometry nodes, or I could play with the vertex groups or the vertex proximity weight. So I can go here to my modifier stack and I can play with these settings still too. Right? See how that's affecting the whole thing? So I got to ensure I'm not growing hair. Or let's say I do want a little bit of hair. Right? Let's say I do want a little bit of growth. Kind of shows short hair. I could go with that too. Right? So we could do something like that instead of stylize it and play it back. And then it grows. And then it ungrows. Right? Cool. All right, so let's do a little bit of look dev now. So play this back like right there. Stop it. I'm going to turn on my camera. And then I'm going to move it up. Oops. Select the camera. Shift it upward. Rotate this. Oops. Mess it up my whole thing. Let's close this out. Join like that. All right. Let's rotate. Negative 90 degrees. Set my focal length. We'll go 120 today. Move this way up. Let's look through the lens. Move this over. Zoom in. Format 1920 by 1920. Let's turn off these tools. And then set this to be clean. And then we'll set up our camera over here. So we'll just zoom out till we hit the sides. Then we'll zoom back in to make sure we frame it properly. Set our camera right there. Probably gonna have to add more hair. And then we'll hit render. Let's give our frame, make a bigger frame. All right. So we're gonna go over here to render. Turn off transparent. So we're on a solid background. Go to my world settings. And I'm going to go with black today. Let's go with black today. All right. And we're going to throw a light in. Area light. And then rotate it upwards. Negative 90 degrees. It's going to come from the top today. Haven't done this in a while. So we got a light coming from the top. Shift it upward. And then, oops. I'm going to turn up the intensity. Yes, I want scrim as always, 100%. So it's soft. I'll go neutral. So we'll leave that at 0. So if you in light wrangler, if you set it to 0, it turns it into a pure white. So you guys know. And then let's turn up the intensity to 64. Starting out. Maybe 128. Look at this cool pattern we're getting. See that? And then we can start messing with some color. So we can add a material, new material. Let's make it red. Just ensure it's working. I'm going to see what kind of color we should go with today. I'm actually going to play with it in the shader editor. So we'll go to the shader editor and then play with our colors. So we're going to add a ramp. Plug that there, the base color. And then we're going to also go red. So let's go RGB, red, and then make this blue. like that. And the reason being is because I just trying to see the colors, because we're going to set up a volume. It's a volume node. No, that's not the right one. I think it's object. One of these info curves node. Nope, sorry, not that. I think it's curves. Yeah, and then we're going to plug in intercept, I believe. Yes, that's the one I want. All right, so now we got this stylized. Go tangent, see what that does. No, I want intercept. So we got that set up. We're going to stylize our hair with some colors. So I'm going to go with some, let's look at the color wheel. Let's do like a Christmas color since we're heading into the fall. Christmas time is coming. So we'll do like a green, red, and then a green complement. Something like that, maybe. Let's go over here, see what it looks like. Yeah, I'll go over this way. Yep. See that. Play with the red some more. Probably gonna pull down the value, darken it a little bit. Green too is too bright. Take the value down. There we go. Maybe mute it a little bit. Yep. That's a nice look. And then we'll play with the, see what metallic. It's different. Let's go 0.1. Then turn it all the way up. See the difference. 0.7. Now leave that out. Go 0.4. Get some highlights on the hair strands. I'm gonna add some more hair too, by the way. I think I'm good on the colors. Maybe I try inverting it, see what kind of difference looks. Flip it. Cooler look. So I can take the ramp, play with that also, intensify these colors. Flip again. I like more red. All right, 3D. And then I'm gonna add more hair. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go 4096. And then we're gonna play it back again. Let this simulate a little bit. So as you can see, you know, it's just playing through that simulation that we set up. And that turbulence is affecting everything because it's causing everything to sway. All right, so we got that. We can pull back here. Something like that. And then I'm going to play with the light some more too. I'm going to do like I like to do a lot of the times. I'm going to take the spread, pull it down. I can see I got something like that. And then I'm going to open it just more so it's a nice fall off. Yeah. I'm probably going to create a new empty. I'm going to create a light target cube. And then I'm going to take this light, track it to the cube. Track to, where's the cube at? Empty 001, that's it. Cool. Got that tracking. And then let's go to a side view. And then I'm just going to set this light right now. Yeah. So something like that. I got to make it smaller too. Yeah, there we go. And then turn the intensity down some. That. Maybe rotate this light. Maybe this direction this time. I could probably add a bounce card. Maybe it's too much shadow going on. So I'll add a bounce card. Rotate it up. Scale it. Stick bounce some light back into the shot. There we go. It's kind of off frame. So this is just bouncing light. So now you can see it get some light kicking back. Duplicate it. Rotate it again. Negative 90 degrees. Move it in close. Just capturing light. So we just got some light bouncing back into the shot. So, but yeah, this is practically it, you know. Now I can just take this, render it out as a whole animation now, you know. Another thing I could play with too is that turbulence. So I can further edit that turbulence and add some more crazy stuff. Or I could play with some other field effects too, you know, force fields at it. That is got all these different force fields. So I can actually take this force one, maybe set it to negative so the hair is being pulled, and wherever I move that force field will pull the hair in that direction too. But again, you know, this was all about setting up something that's not more non-destructive so that we have more control over this radial effect, right? And so I could take this empty, I could still move it around, right? That's what's great about this. I can always move this around. So I could say off camera, you know, in this upper corner instead, you know, and I could hit play and it's still going to play through, right? Because it's a whole simulation. See? It's going across the whole mesh. And I can still increase the length of the hair. Let's say I wanted the hair even longer, right? I can go to my particle settings, increase the length of the hair. You know, instead of 12, maybe I want to go 24 instead, right? So if I go back here and play it again, you know, let it sim, look how long the hair is now. Gonna get a whole nother look. Okay. So that's what's great about this whole setup. You know, it's very editable, you know, but again, that one part with the vertex groups and the geometry nodes, I wish there was some kind of connection to where I can take advantage of creating grids with the geometry node or any other thing, and then also access the vertexes of it. But being that it's a modifier, I can't really go back and edit the vertex groups. So other than that, I hope you guys like this video and you guys learned something. Let me know in the comments below if you guys like this. I got some more videos dealing with this subject next week too. So appreciate you guys coming through, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.